Welcome to Thought Experiment Called Life. This is where unconventional thinkers and multi-passionate makers share their journey of creating meaningful lives, built on growth, creativity, and the courage to live on their own terms. I'm Greta, a musician, a martial artist, an herbalist, and a fellow traveler through this mystery we call life. Every other Tuesday, I bring you real conversations with rule breakers and path forgers. Subscribe on Substack for more resources, mindset, tools, and more. I started this podcast. I'd wanted to do one for a while, but I kind of, I am a musician, but I have like a lot of things that I love to talk about and care about. And I couldn't figure out a niche. Thank you.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out a niche. And then I just kind of said, screw it. I'm just going to do it.
Yeah, that's cool. Is it pretty good? Like you have a decent amount of listeners and followers? Or?
Yeah, it's building. It's building. And I think
that's awesome.
Thank you. I feel very blessed. I have a lot of friends who are top of their level in whatever their field is. So, so I kind of talk to some of my musician friends. I talk to some fighter friends because I'm in the martial arts world.
That's dope.
So it's fun. So there's like kind of that side of things. I have my master's in herbalism and nutrition. So I talk a lot about, I'm super random, but I
love it. It's all over. Hey.
Yeah. And then just on a personal note, having had Lyme disease for 20 plus years or so, it's something that I like to share a lot about mindset. So I think I've, as this podcast is growing, one of the big things that I like to talk to people about, because I like bringing people on to share their experiences, because I feel like it's, we all have something that brings us to our knees. We all have something that challenges us like that. And especially if somebody who lives an unconventional life, like you're an artist, you have to find different ways to handle it. And I've been having a lot of fun bringing that kind of conversation to the table so that people who maybe want to do something, either create, whatever, they want to do something that their family doesn't understand, that their friends don't understand, and just want to have some place that they can kind of listen and go, okay, all right, maybe I can take some insight from this person who did it this way and apply it to my life. And that's kind of, I think, how this keeps evolving in that way, because
that's beautiful. I love it already. We ain't even started.
Thank you. Well, I have to say, honestly, the reason that I reached out to you was because of your mindset. I saw, I connected with you on LinkedIn, and just connected with people in the sync space in general. For those of you who don't understand what we're saying, sync space for the music industry, there's film and television, music licensing. You are absolutely killing it at Arena.
Thank you.
Yeah. And it was very inspiring to me. And I was like, all right, I'd like to hear more about what you're doing. And I really, really, really appreciated the way that you present yourself, present your work. And
thank you.
Yeah. And the way that you really have a community kind of vibe. Which is not always the case. So So if you want to
absolutely.
If you want to tell people a little bit about yourself first, and we can start from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I go by the name of Gallo Locknez. That's my stage name. I'm a producer. I'm a performer. I'm a writer. I'm a songwriter. I'm a rapper. I'm a father. You know what I'm saying? I love my babies. And then, I do a lot of work within the sync space, like we were discussing. I do a lot of music for commercials, TV shows, movies. And then, I work with a lot of people, including yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And we made some dope music, and we're making some more dope music. So I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, me too.
But I work with a whole different types of people. I love cross genre. I love crossing over. I love bringing hip hop into different genres such as EDM and, rock and jazz, even, and R&B, even opera. You know what I mean? I love doing that type of stuff and just bringing it in because hip hop is kind of like borrowing from a lot of different styles. So it's why not come over to that style? You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's just in a nutshell, that's me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I love that you said about the cross genres. I definitely, because I have such a wide, and I think a lot of us musicians do have a wide base of things that we love in music, right?
Yeah.
But when you write, when you produce, it's really fun to this to like, because a lot of what we do are happy accidents, right? You know, you kind of
absolutely, yep,
you follow, you're like, how's that sound together? And then you're like, oh, shit, that's awesome. You know, so yeah, it's fun. I think, especially in our music landscape now, to be able to really use our imaginations. And you know, we're up against, you know, all the AI kind of stuff, but
for sure.
I feel like we, I don't know. There's a soul to, we can use it as a tool, but I think we retain our artistry with it. So it's fun to use it and to use our own imaginations to like really, you know, birth something new. We are birthing something right now.
Absolutely. I listen, man, I'm all for change. I'm all for growth. I'm all for evolving. You know what I'm saying? I've always been that type of person. I'm a super open-minded person. I'm not for cheating. I'm not for cutting corners, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like you said, AI is a great tool. I use AI. Because I write a lot. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I might use AI to kind of start my track, to start my, you know, my lyrics, you know what I mean? Get the idea going, because I mean, I'm sure you can relate to this. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. Sometimes it's hard to just get going.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So a lot of times when I find myself not inspired, I might go to AI and be like, hey, you know, what would this sound like? You know, write a song about this, da, 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 da. And then again, I don't take the AI because I want it to be me, right? But it may spark some ideas. You know what I'm saying? And I use it for that. I use AI a lot for graphics. I ain't gonna lie on that.
You're listen, like, I'm not a graphic designer.
Not at all. You know what I'm saying? But not for nothing. I do it for fun. Most of the time I do it for fun.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, because a lot of, you can find some really cool prompts online for AI graphics. If you ever, I don't know if you follow me on my other social medias, but like Instagram, if you ever look at my stories, I'll post random pictures of me like sitting on a rooftop at night like a superhero.
Okay.
Just having fun, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the beautiful thing about AI right now and all of these tools. Like if you use it as a tool, and I saw a meme about ADHD, which I don't know if I'm super ADHD, but it was a meme about, you know, if you ask somebody with a lot of ADHD a question, it's like, and you give them a prompt, it's like a whole file opens up.
Oh, wow.
But you just, so that's how I feel a lot, where like, I might not have the idea in the moment, but if you give me just a prompt, like, what about like, give me a few words or some kind of, especially like lyrics or whatever, you can give me a sentence and something, and then everything kind of just opens in that sense. And I think when we understand our learning style and our creativity approach to things and use it as a tool, it's a really, really incredible tool. Granted, we don't have control over where it's going to go in the world or whatever, but
correct.
As far as that goes, as far as the creativity goes, as being an artist and having that, like, because I know a lot of people are feeling a lot of tension about it, but I think that, like you said, like it's either you're having fun, which keeps your creativity flowing, because that's so important. You got to have fun with it, you know? Or it's helping you generate some new idea. You know, it's like talking to, I think when I first started using ChatGPT, I would just talk to it, and I still do. I'm like, hi, morning. Morning, can you tell me what, you know, like, I don't know, give me ideas or some insight or whatever. But it's a, you know, it's a little, our little friend. I actually grew up with Terminator 2 was like my favorite movie. So I kind of laugh every time that I'm like talking about AI.
Was it Skynet? Was that the name?
Skynet. Yeah, exactly. Like, don't trust Skynet. But, you know, for now.
That's funny. I mean, I think I'm with it. I know a lot of people don't like change. I think that's just what it comes down to. People are really like stuck in their ways. And that's a majority of people. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? People have their standards and they have their way of living. People have habits. People have routines. So there's nothing wrong with that, right? I try to balance all of it, right? And I think one of the most important things is to be open-minded. I feel like experiencing new things helps, like you said, really, really help your creativity. You know what I'm saying? And your imagination, and, you know, experiencing new things helps you look at things differently from a different perspective. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very, very big on that. Kind of like you. I like direction. You know what I mean? I could be a leader and I could create things, but I love direction too. So again, like I said, I might go to like, AI to help give me an idea. But a lot of times I work with supervisors, music supervisors in sync and producers, and they might say, hey, I made this track and I had this in mind. And I'm like, okay, perfect. Let's run with it. You know what I mean? I'm big on that. And I'm big on, collaborating. I don't want anybody to ever feel like I'm taking over. I don't ever want anybody to feel that way. I want it to always feel like a team effort.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I've never felt that way. Yeah, I think you do that very well.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because everybody has a voice. And for me growing up, I felt like my voice was always shut down. You know what I'm saying? It was always like, nah, bro, you can't do that, right? Because I didn't look like a rapper. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have much handed to me. I didn't have really anything handed to me. I had to figure everything out. You know what I'm saying? So, for me, I look at and I'm gonna kind of go into an analogy real quick. Yeah. They say that superheroes and supervillains aren't too much different, right? A lot of them have like the same past, right? So the only difference is like a superhero might look at it like, yo, I went through pain and I don't want nobody else to feel that pain. Or a supervillain will be like, hey, I went through pain and everybody needs to burn. You know what I'm saying? And me, I just love goodness. So I look at it like, yo, because I went through this pain, I went through this struggle, I want to make sure other people don't have to go through that struggle as much as I can. You know what I mean?
So I love that so much. Yeah.
Yeah. I try to live that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, then that's definitely what came through. That's definitely why I resonated with and reached out. Same thing. I mean, I definitely have struggled with, similar, not being heard, just kind of, and not knowing how to find my own voice, just feeling, I talk a lot about like, just having felt like an alien, I don't feel like I fit in. I feel really like, and it took people in my life who either I didn't know directly or people I just kind of had in passing. And then a few people directly who shared similar experiences and it changed everything for me. So that's like the biggest, that's the biggest inspiration as to why I do this is because I know, like even before us talking today, I just say, the prayer basically like whoever needs to hear whatever we're talking about today, I hope it finds them,
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome.
Yeah. So when did you start in music? Like, tell me about how that all started.
So I started music. My pops is a musician. So my pops he always had equipment and stuff. But it's funny, he hated hip hop. Hated hip hop, right? So he would, I know. So he would try to teach me the piano and stuff. And I did pay attention to a lot of it. I give credit to my pops, from that aspect. If he wouldn't have took the time to teach me like certain things, I probably wouldn't be where I am now and my love for it. But I was stubborn. I was a very stubborn student. So, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to get right there. You know what I'm saying? But but my father also worked in New York. So I used to go to New York and commute to New York from the Poconos. And when my dad was at home, I used to sneak downstairs and work with the equipment and stuff and just kind of hone my skills on the hip hop side of things. And that's how I kind of got into it. And then in school, I used to write about, raps and stuff. And then I used to freestyle battle on the back of the bus and then at lunchtime and stuff. So that got me better at it. And like I mentioned earlier, I didn't look like a rapper. So it was hard for people to accept me, you know what I'm saying, based on my skills. Which made me stronger, right? And then as I got older, I started developing like how to produce, right, and make more of my own beats and stuff. And before I knew it, I was working at my job, selling beats from my job, hustling beats, you know what I'm saying? Hustling the legal way, you know what I'm saying?
That's right. Music.
And music.
Yeah.
And then basically it's kind of like when people like what you do and they're like, wow, you're good. That kind of motivates you, right? That motivates you to keep doing better and getting better and stuff. And then I kept hearing a lot of that. And then things just kept advancing. I ended up getting signed to Rockwaller. He's a producer. He's produced for like Beyonce, Destiny Child, Jay-Z, Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, a whole bunch of people.
Oh, yeah.
Ended up getting signed to him. I got my first sync placement through him, which was cool. But I also learned a lot about the business because I didn't get a dime for it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I learned a lot. and then after that deal was done, because he ended up getting sick, so he kind of just like cut the deal with like everybody he had signed. I started just kind of doing my own thing. You know what I mean? And then I was producing other artists and writing for other artists, but then I got a deal with the NBA and I was working for the NBA for 2 seasons. My boy from high school did 2 of my boys from high school, they do a video recording for the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And they had so they reached out to me and was like, yo, what do you think about doing, so basically we did what's it called? Basically, like I reviewed, I can't recap. We did recaps on the games, but in rap form, in hip hop form, right?
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so cool. And the NBA, it was something new. Nobody's ever did it. You know what I'm saying? So again, he's the inside to the NBA. He presented it and they were like, okay, cool. That sounds cool. Let's try it. So we did like 3 of them and the fans loved it. The fans absolutely ate it up. So I was working for the NBA for 2 seasons. And then after that, I kind of like started sending cold emails to like sync companies because I wanted to do more sync stuff. And what worked out in my favor is because I worked for the NBA, a lot of them knew who I was. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So that was how a lot of them broke the ice. They're like, well, I'm a Houston Rockets fan. And, what you think of Steph Curry this year? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
It was a way to kind of break the ice. And then they would send me work and I'll knock it out because I developed a strong work ethic working for the NBA. I only had like 2 to 5 hours to get the songs done with the NBA. And that's like producing, writing, mixing, mastering, all of that. So it was, so I developed a strong work ethic. So sync can also have a short turnaround and it worked out. So from there, just everything just grew and grew and grew. And that's where we're at today. I know that was long-winded.
No, it's great. I love hearing it because I think, again, talking about like your path, here you go. Yeah. I don't necessarily feel like I fit what people think I'm supposed to fit to do this, but it's your calling. You're like, hello, I need to answer this calling.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think something I like to talk a lot about with people is the decision making, like how to listen to your intuition as you're navigating this, right? Kind of when to know when you're going the right direction, and a lot of times I think that people come up across challenges, and it might be confusing as to when they need to overcome that challenge or when it's like a detour.
Okay.
I like hearing different people's perspective on that because I think everybody has a little bit of a different take with that.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think for me, it's give it your full effort. I always believe in that. Give it your full effort. Even if it doesn't feel like it's going right, do it a few times. It's kind of like a TV show, right? Like they always say, at least give it 5 episodes, right? You might not like it the first episode or 2, but give it 5 episodes. You never know, right? It's like the same thing, man. I give it at least 5 tries, or I don't want to say 5 tries, but I get it a decent amount of tries, right? And if it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't feel like there's any growth, then it's time to take a new approach. You know what I'm saying? And that might not, I'm not saying that's the right or wrong answer. I'm just saying that's just been my approach. You know what I'm saying? But I also believe in learning from others. I'm big on learning from others. Like I'm not the hard-headed type was like, I need to learn the hard way. No, I don't want to learn the hard way. You know what I'm saying? Like if I seen somebody else, be productive, go on a certain path, then I'm going to study that person and I'm going to see what they did to go down that path and be successful. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then I'll add my own twist. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody has their own personality. Everybody is their own individual. You know what I'm saying? So I'm big on learning from others, observing others, and still making it my own. You know what I mean? I'm very, very big on that. And then also at the same time, I'm big on being me. We all are special. We are all, unique. And I truly believe that I'm unique. I believe you're unique. Anybody I come across is very unique, and they add their own value to whatever, we come together on. So, again, another reason why I'm open-minded, right? Like, because a lot of times you might come up with an idea that I would have never thought of. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I'm very big on embracing my uniqueness and my individuality. You know what I'm saying? For anything. So if I come up with an idea and I feel good about it, I'm gonna write it down and I'm gonna pursue it. And like I said, I'm gonna give it a few tries. I'm just gonna comment on something you said earlier too. You said sometimes we're being alive and we experiment and we like to try things and stuff.
Mhm.
I'm always that person. You know what I'm saying? I'm always that person. And then I'll let people hear it. Sometimes the people will be like, I don't know, you know what I mean? But I don't always listen to that because it's me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then now if I get like 5 or 6 or 7 then it's like, okay, I'm gonna get rid of it. Right.
This is
We're not gonna work with that. Yeah. At least I did it. But ultimately, if I get maybe 1 or 2 rejections, I still might go for it because it's still me, right? And so I embrace my individuality, and I encourage people to embrace their individuality and their uniqueness as well too.
That's so beautiful and so important. I would say, so I always talk about how I think creativity is just really important for everybody.
Yeah.
I don't, and I've been working on how to articulate that because I think some people, if they're not like, I need to make music or I need to make, like, all I ever want to do is make something. I used to have a jewelry company.
Yeah.
I just want to make things. So not everybody feels that way, but I think that when people are creative, there's a part of our brain that we're using that helps us in life just look and perceive differently. And that applies a lot to if you are somebody like us who we have to, to make things. You're like, okay, I'm going to make. And a lot of times for us, it's like, I don't know about for you, but I'll just let things come out and come out. I'll just play with sounds and listen and kind of let it go and not be too attached to anything.
Yep.
And then something all of a sudden clicks and it's you channeling basically, right? Like the muse is like, here you go.
Yep.
I'm like, all right, thank you. So, but that process is something we get to use a lot in our work, but it's something that when people do have playtime, let's just say mental, creative playtime in whatever way, picking, paint some, I can't paint, but I'd like to,
No, I'm the same way.
I'm the same way. The AI prompt, the images, like anything like that helps your brain connect in a little bit of a different way that I think is so important for us right now, especially, the state of our world and all the tensions and all of that is so, everything's so black and white and finite and categorized. And it's not, it's hard to imagine something better for everybody if we're all just like, attached into this box, right? So I think encouraging people, like that's what anybody who's listening to this who's not feeling super creative, just anything that doesn't have any structure or rules and you can just kind of let yourself play, it really, really benefits, I think, in your life in general. Dots start connecting things that maybe, maybe you're an accountant, I don't know, and you have other decisions you need to make. You're having trouble with those decisions. They may start connecting because you let your brain just kind of like be in the creative space. And for me, that's like how I try to like bridge it for, I think probably most people who listen to this are pretty creative, but I'm somebody, who really likes to hammer that home, especially when we talk about stuff like songwriting, like you said, with your uniqueness to it, because there are things that come out of us in whatever we do that really are us, and it's not going to resonate with everybody. And sometimes that's the best thing because it really resonates with the people it's supposed to.
Absolutely. And I love the idea of, like you said, one thing that I do recommend though, and it's like as musicians, a lot of people do this. I used to do this as well. I don't do this anymore. Save everything that comes out, even if you don't like it, you're not sure about it, save it. Because you never know if you want to go back to it and it might spark another idea. There's, sometimes as musicians, especially as I know you're a producer, so I know you have so much unfinished work, right? Like I do, right? So much. Sometimes, and sometimes we might go back and just kind of like reminisce through what we was doing. Like, oh yeah, I forgot this even existed. And then you listen to it. Now your mind is in a different place. You're in a different place creatively. I can't speak right now.
I got you.
Anyway, creatively. And it might spark a whole new idea. You know what I mean? I'll give you an example. J. Cole heard a beat that Timbaland made one time. And Timbaland and J. Cole was like, yo, you did this on the live. I want this beat. And Timbo was like, bro, I didn't say that beat. You know what I mean? And J. Cole like, what? So what ended up happening, Timbaland ended up remaking a beat, but he also said, yo, from now on, I save everything. Because you never know if somebody will hear it and they might want it. And now that, that led to money for Timbaland. You know what I'm saying? So my whole point is, save everything. You know what I mean? It's important. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause you don't know exactly. Like you just want to, we're not always like, I always think about like with the muse, like whenever I go to write music, especially cause I have several different things that I'm doing. It's kind of like I'm making a appointment with my muse. I'm like, all right, we're meeting at this time. And then I know I can lock in at that time. It's not like I have to be like, what was I going to do? So it's kind of like when you create, it's partially ours with your muse, however you want to describe that. So it's like, you're saving it for them as well, right? You're saving all of it. It's a record of what was done. And it does. Yeah, there's so many songs that I'll come back to, even days where if I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I maybe I'm doing the wrong, I'm just like down myself, and I'll go through and listen to things and I'm like, okay, all right,
okay, this worked out. Yeah, I can do this.
Yeah. You're like, all right, I got this. Yeah. How so you said you're a father, right? You got
I am.
Two girls?
Two girls, yep.
Two girls. Okay. I thought it was something great. Yeah. Are they into music?
My oldest is. My youngest one is kind of into it. She was rapping with her friend for a little bit, you know what I'm saying, just joking around. But she's so funny. Like whenever she have a rap, she'll be like, "What you think, Dad? You think it's good? You think it's good?" You know what I mean? And I encourage her. And then my oldest one, she made some beats. I was actually out in Colorado with my guy Budokai, and we was working on an album, and we used one of her beats for the album, which was really cool. Yeah, it's really exciting. Cool. Yeah,
that's awesome.
And she raps and she's working on singing as well too. So she loves music. She doesn't quite have the work ethic yet.
How old are they?
So she's 16 and my youngest one is 10.
Okay. Very cool.
Yes. Yeah. And, and I just try to encourage her to just keep practicing. You know what I'm saying? One thing about me was like, I get it. Nobody really likes to practice, right? I get it, right? They want to get right to the, oh, it's done. This is amazing. They don't want to go through the whole process. But, for me, I always actually enjoy the, pressing the buttons and seeing what this does and the experimenting and working on something until it's developing. Thankfully, I've always enjoyed that, but I know a lot of people don't enjoy that. So, it's I try to meet her where she is. You know what I mean? And encourage her.
Sorry, I was to say, what does that look like? I guess like how?
Yeah, it's a lot of because I don't want to discourage her either, right? So that could be tough sometimes too. But it's a lot of encouragement. You know what I mean? They're like, yo, I love what you did. And then I'll show it to my friends. I'm like, yo, look what my friend said about your beat, or look what my friend said about your rap. Like, yo, they love it. You know what I mean? So I try to encourage her that way. You know what I mean? So she realized, okay, she is kind of headed down the right path. She is kind of doing something right. You know what I mean? And she's also funny. She's like, she don't like me to make suggestions. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? She's like, oh, that sounds like something you would do. I don't want it to sound like you. So I was like, it's not me. It's just, basics. You know what I mean? Everybody does, you know what I mean? But, I struggle with that sometimes too, because she just doesn't, she wants to be her own individual, right? She don't want to be dad. She want to be her. So, I struggle with that sometimes, but it's a learning situation for me and it's a learning situation for her. And it's something that we're learning together, but she's super talented. She has such a dope ear. I did a song yesterday and I played it for her and she was like screaming in the car, like, ooh, oh, this is it, Dad. It's a banger. That made me happy. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm big on encouragement. You know what I mean? I'm very, very big on encouragement and that's how I try to move. And again, I'm human and I'm still a dad. So sometimes, I'm trying to help her learn. And sometimes, I don't want to discourage her. I want to try to encourage her. So.
Yeah. I mean, that's so special. That's so cool. Yeah. I grew up in a musical family, but it was obviously different. Like my dad wasn't doing it as his career or whatever. But he was a drummer. But yeah, that's so special that you guys have that relationship. And yeah, of course, she's going to be like, Dad, I want to do what I want to do.
Exactly.
She's
and it's cool, man. Like I said, I encourage her to do her thing, and she wants to work with kids and stuff, and in her school and stuff, and make music with them and stuff. And she's a pretty young lady, so I often tell her be careful and all that. And she don't like that either. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of I'm not trying to stereotype rappers, but like a lot of rappers, in my experience, I've seen a lot of rappers like, they have other intentions, or, they try to get you, one of the things, I need some hooks. That's always the thing. I need a hook for a rap song. You know what I mean? Why don't you come to the studio? And, I'm like, okay, well, who's this guy? Who's this young guy? You know what I mean? And, you know what I mean? What are they, you know what I mean? And honestly, I'd want to go with you. You know what I'm saying? Or, you have because I invested in her laptop and her stuff as well. So it's like, yo, if, you want to work with somebody, we could set up, you know what I mean? And do that, because, I informed her, a lot of people, because she doesn't smoke, right? She's 16 years old, you know what I'm saying? And, being in the music industry, there's a lot of people that smoke. There's a lot of people that do other things, you know what I'm saying? And, I really don't want her being so young. I don't want her, especially at that age, right? They're like sponges. You know what I mean? I really don't want her around that type of environment. You know what I'm saying? To rub off on her. When she gets a little bit older, her brain gets a little bit more mature. I can't control that, right? But she'll be able to make more wiser decisions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I try to, again, I'm a father, but at the same time, I still try to encourage her and not discourage her. And it's tough. It's tough. You know what I mean? It's very hard.
I'm so happy hearing you say that with your daughters too, in general. Like I said, so I mean, kind of on a different note, but maybe just something to pass along. But, I started training in like self-defense and martial arts when I was like 15. I just kind of always, basically for that exact reason, I just kept having situations that made me very uncomfortable. I'm only 5 feet tall, and I wasn't I'm not very like vocal in the sense, but like I wanted to know how to protect myself. And so it became a huge part of my life. I just really enjoy training in martial arts, but I'm a huge advocate for women in particular and girls and having that training. And it really comes down to like the initial line of that is being able to have good discernment with people around you and your environment. I've definitely been, again, in music and some situations where you're like, this is not ideal at all. And, but there are some things that, especially for, I focus mainly with the women with this and our girls, but like paying attention to people's language and the red flags in their language will give you like such an earlier indication of somebody's intentions. And so just passing those kinds of things along where it's like, if somebody's like I know like a big one that I've just noticed throughout my life is that there's, it's called forced teaming. And it's kind of like when somebody comes up to you and is like, you're just like, I was at the grocery store the other day and I was like looking for, and usually my man's with me and I was by myself and I was just looking for something, whatever. And they're like, oh, some guy comes up and he's like, what are we going to get today? Like with me, like, what are we doing today? We're not doing anything.
Exactly. Who invited you over here, bro?
And that happens, like that kind of thing. Like that's just a little example. And the guy didn't mean any harm,
No, but
some guys will do that just to try to be like, all right, now we're in conversation. And I was like, we're not doing anything. I'm doing something. You can go away. but like it's so good. Yeah, like it's so good with your daughter. So like especially at that age, to help. I think people have that kind of like thought that I did it, I should say, growing up. I think I probably would have pursued a little bit more aggressively, like a touring lifestyle, had I thought that there were more musicians who didn't just party. I didn't really want to do like that. I did it a little bit with some bands and stuff like that, but it didn't fall to me. Also, I was really like not well. I was really sick with Lyme disease in my 20s. So I wanted to kind of have a more I just wanted to play music and like,
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
So, so modeling for her too, that there's like other ways to do it. I think that's what I really, for me, drew me a lot to the sync space, is because it was like another way to be able to produce and exercise and like create and not have it be this like I was a lead singer in a band for a long time. You have to like be a certain way. I didn't want to do that. Yeah. Like sometimes I'll do that, but not all the time, So it's good that she can get that example from you. I think that's awesome.
Nah, I appreciate that. Yeah, and then like same thing. Like I'm a performer as well, and I'm the same way actually. Like I want to just perform. I want to create, and then like if I do a show out of town, like I want to see the town. I don't really care about partying. I don't care about getting drunk. I don't care about, all the extra stuff. Yeah, again, like you said, sometimes you kind of got to come off like you got to be personable, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you got to, but at the same time, I try to be very responsible. I look at life as like I have too much to lose. You know what I'm saying? So I try to live in a very responsible way, but also fun. If again, my closest friends will say I am the life of the party. But I'm a responsible life of the party. Like, I can be sober and we having a blast. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't need to get messed up. I don't, even though I've had times where I have, and I'm not gonna come up here like I'm a saint. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But ultimately, I put a full effort in trying to be responsible and having a good time and being able to remember everything that happened the night before. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I know. I had a lot of friends who did not usually. I learned a lot. Like I observed a lot of things that I was like, okay, I want to do that. I don't like that. I was like,
no, I'm the same way. You learn from other people. And then for me, I love to travel. So like when I went on my European tour, and I regretted it. My last. So I'm figuring it out, right? So I'm not a big tour person. I don't tour a lot. I'll do shows, but that was like my first tour, and it was my first tour out of the country. And I was like, yo, I'm in Switzerland. I need to see Switzerland. I'm in Italy. I need to see Italy. I'm in Croatia. I need to see Croatia, right? And honestly, my last day, I got a fever. I couldn't even perform because I didn't get enough rest. You know what I'm saying? So, that was something I had to learn, but but I wasn't out getting wasted. I wasn't doing, getting all crazy. I like to I like to take pictures. I like to look back at the pictures. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm very, very big on enjoying a new experience. But at the same time, like you said, I love the fact with sync, I still get to create. I don't have to put on a certain persona or a certain mask just to make it through the next hour or two. You know what I'm saying? Right. I can just be myself. And often with sync, I often look at it kind of like acting, right? Like,
I say that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Like this role, like this song, I'm this person. I'm playing this role in this song. You know what I'm saying? And it's fun. It's a lot of
fun. Yeah. I was saying that the other day to somebody I was working with. I'm going to do a cover of something, and like, it's kind of in my range, but basically, I just kind of think about it. I was like, I'm not good at acting, but like I can do it through singing. I can just kind of like, picture like, I don't know. You just kind of hear, I think you're probably saying what you hear where you think it should be going and you try to go there. And if I have to like kind of change my voice a little bit to get it there, I don't need to be like my next single, I just want it to be cool. Right. Like I just want it to exist. It's fun. It's just like, it's a lot of fun. And also be able to do like so many different genres, like whatever wants to come out. Yeah. I know it's a joy. It really is. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I love it, man. And then a lot of, sometimes I did this one commercial, man. And, the people in the other room was like, really? But it's like sometimes you got to do weird things or you got to do different things you wouldn't normally do to fit to fit it. You know what I'm saying? So I have a lot of fun, man. And and one thing too is like I'm cool with working with people. I love collaborating people in the same space, but I love to work by myself because I feel like I'm more comfortable, right? I'm not in my head, and I love to tap into a space where like I can just do whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, and to kind of elaborate on that too, when I work with other people, you know, I'm big on like, if people suggest ideas, I'm not going to shut it down before we try it. You know, and I'm big on like, yo, cool, you got an idea? Go lay it down. Let's see how it sounds. You know what I'm saying? I hate to shut people down, and I despise when people try to shut me down or somebody else down when they just had an idea. You never know until it's executed. You know what I'm saying?
Huge. That's huge. That really, and again, I think this speaks to your success. I think it speaks to the community that you're building. Because that isn't how, I mean, that was not my experience. Most of the musicians that I worked with up until I went on my own, it was like, I felt like I was in like a little, they were like, no. I had so much music inside of me. I was like, get it out though. So, you know, and I would see the people who usually say no are also shutting themselves down. So,
and they're in a box, right? A lot of them are in a box.
And creativity is, you know, really about it's free. It's
freedom,
let yourself wander and explore. And sometimes you do stuff that is so silly, but it works. Like that's like, again, I think going back to the, you know, the AI side of things, or just kind of our world in general. I was saying it in a different episode, I think, but I think, you know, that's our humanity, you know, and of course people might be like, well, our humanity is whatever, but I think our humanity is absolutely divine and beautiful. And that's really what brings it to the table, is the fact that we have this superpower. We have a superpower, truly, you know? I was going to ask you, I wanted to know more about your Patreon, because I know you started your Patreon.
So my Patreon is a way. So it's two-part. The first is through my brand is pushing positive energy, right? So my brand is called PEM, Positive Energy Movement. I've been rocking with that for years, right? And anybody that's a follower, I call them PEMers, right? And it's just basically anybody that wants to be encouraged, feel positive, you know, be remotivated, be reminded to be positive. You know, one of my things is, I don't know if you can see this, but my wristbands, hold on, where's the camera? Okay, there it goes. It says stay positive.
Love it.
And I have a whole bunch of wristbands. I give them out for free on my shows, and I wear them every day because, there's so much negativity that's always shoved in our face. Sometimes we need a reminder. You know what I'm saying? So, not for nothing, because I had this conversation with my daughter. There actually is more positive in this world than negativity. Just negativity is just broadcasted more, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So, a lot of times I just want to be that light. So the Patreon is a way for, of course, people to be motivated, but also people can support it too and help with the marketing, right? That's the reason for receiving the monthly payments, because it helps with marketing, right? I can promote it. I could do more merch. I can film more. I can hire more people. That's the point of the Patreon. And then the second part is Sync, where I let people send me music, and I help mold that song or those songs. They can send me 2 songs a month, and I help mold those songs so that it can get to a place of syncable. And then once it gets to that place, I'll help them shop it. You know what I'm saying?
That's awesome. Yeah. That's really, really cool. I love that you are committed to the staying positive. And I guess I'm curious how you stay positive. Like, do you have certain, like, I know for me, I try to limit things. I try to know what's going on just enough to know that another COVID is not happening or something.
Yeah.
And like, if I need to like sign a petition or call or whatever I got to do, and then I got to like make a bubble of I go into nature. I have other teachers that I listen to who help a good mindset. Like, what do you do?
So for me, and it's something I'm working on, I'm trying to not come from a place of fear. It's a conversation I've had with my therapist quite a bit. And, instead of like, dang, this can happen if I do this, I look, from a fearful place. It's like, man, if this happens, I can learn from this. I can build from this. I can grow from this, right? Instead of being scared of it, embrace it, right? So for me, I'm very big on trying to just embrace whatever comes to me. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I do have my things that I do. You know what I mean? I'm big on video games. I love video games. You know what I'm saying? So, video games are like, but I'm not a crazy video game player. Like I'm not what is it like? Well, I'll play maybe like under an hour a day. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a very casual gamer.
Reasonable consumption. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just to get my mind, calm, because we take in so much, man. We take in so much information in a day from social media, TV, people we meet, people that go to work and they got to deal with, what they do at work, or, there's so much information that's coming in. I truly believe everybody needs a healthy outlet to come down, you know what I mean? And reset. The other thing is sleep. Sleep is super important. I used to be a night owl. And I found that it just isn't healthy. You know what I mean? Some of the most successful people sleep at least 6 to 8 hours a night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's important. And, it's important not to undersleep, and it's important not to oversleep. You know what I'm saying? It's important to stay in that 6 to 8 hour range. You know what I mean? So that's what I aim for. If I don't, I make sure I get a nap in for the day. You know what I'm saying? Because rest is super important for our brains to reset, for us to make smarter decisions, for our emotions to be better controlled. You know what I mean? So it's a lot, and I know it sounds like a lot, but when it becomes a routine and this is how you live, you know what I mean? It's not as bad. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I think it's beautiful. I think those are really, really good staples. Like you said, having an outlet and sleep. And you think of like a baby who needs to sleep and they're just like crying and cranky. And you're like, I see babies sometimes like that. And I'm like, I know.
Yep.
I need a nap. I feel like that on the inside. I'm like, I don't want to feel like that later. No, I think it's important. I think, again, like if you live kind of a different life, right? Like a more unconventional life, or if you live a super like standard where you have a 9 to 5, and those things are not really built in our culture for, we hear like self-care, but it's really just foundational care, right? Even you're saying the therapist, like I'm talking to my therapist later today, like those things are really important. Having, just the kind of environment, right? We've got to create an environment for ourselves, and it is really up to us to create that environment as best. And we can't always control those things, right? But the biggest piece of it, I think, is when we stay aware of what we need or what is calling out to us in that moment. Maybe we can't get the full 8 hours that we want. Can we at least get 6 and then take a nap later? Let's just be aware that you should schedule that in so that everything else is easier and feels more manageable. It's like, sometimes I think being an adult is just like reparenting yourself. Right? Like figuring out like, how would I handle this if I was a little me right now who needs a nap? Or needs to just like play a game. I know that's why I train. We, my soon-to-be husband and I, we both do jiu-jitsu, and like I teach, and so we both teach, and so the teaching is fun, the training is fun. I always wanted brothers, so I feel like I have like 40 brothers. I get to be that.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
So for me, like, we hustle our runs all day long, and then it's like we go train. I put my phone down. You just serve it to people, and and it's like anytime if somebody's listening to this and they're feeling like out of balance with that, like it's figure out where you can play more, whether it is some kind of play. It doesn't have to be structured, but it is so important for us, and
it's got to be healthy. We got to remember that too. It's easy to go to alcohol, it's easy to go to drugs or anything like that, and it does feel like a temporary fix, but unfortunately it has a long-term effect. You know what I mean? So if finding a vice, has got to be something that's healthy. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not no saint. You know what I'm saying? I've had periods where I used to drink all the time. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I mean? It's about realizing. I remember, man, it's so funny. Because my boy, Budokai in Colorado is a recovering alcoholic. So I remember when I went to visit him, right? It was like no alcohol in the house, right? And I found myself like wanting alcohol. Like I found myself like, I had urges like I need a drink,
Yeah.
And when I realized that, I was like, yo, I have a problem. Like, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm craving alcohol. So, sometimes we got to take accountability. Sometimes we got to, and it's not beating yourself up. It's just like, yo, you know what? This is something I realize this about myself. I need to work on this. I need to fix this so I can be a better version of me. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's not about changing. It's just being a better version of myself. You know what I'm saying?
And like you said, you're not beating yourself up about it. We all go to something to help us take the edge off of whatever is coming up. And it could be in that moment. It could be something a lot of times I think too with like wanting a drink or like wanting to smoke or whatever. It's kind of like the routine of the environment, right? So it's like, we're together, we're doing this thing.
Yeah.
This would be a great time because that's what we used to do or whatever, So just having, like I said, like having that self-awareness to be able to just lovingly take an observation of where you're at and then just take little steps in the direction. Like I know for me, that definitely works to just gently go in the direction and not put too much pressure on it. And I know some other people like it when they're like, no, I'm quitting everything. And I'm just,
and some people can do that, right? Some people can do that, but not for most people. I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. But most people can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Right. And I'm the same way. I'm, some things I can cut off. Some things I need to kind of wean off it. Right. Like take my time gradually, take my time. Yeah.
You're like relearning how to do. You're relearning something. So I think I've learned so much from training in jiu-jitsu because it's like learning a language. So you basically, when you come in, nothing. You're just like, I don't know what's going on. Yeah. And I always tell whoever I'm teaching, I'm like, just let it be messy. Don't worry about it. Just focus on one little thing, like where you put your hands. Like literally, just give yourself a tiny thing to do. Yeah. Do that. And do that until your body just does that. And then you can do the next thing. And
that's dope.
It's helped a lot. I've actually applied it, whether I'm learning how to play like a new instrument or like, I didn't come from I was a singer. I can play guitar a little bit. I can play keys a little bit. I hear a lot internally. And then I taught myself production. I still have a long way to go. But
now you're good though. Don't get it twisted. You're good.
Thanks. I mean, I didn't this is all in the past 5 years that I've learned how to do.
That's dope.
Things, so thank you. Yeah. I always had, like I said, I could hear stuff, but basically I took the way that I learned martial arts and jiu-jitsu in particular, because you can't bullshit. Like it's either it's in your body or it's not.
Yeah. Okay.
So I've taken that approach and applied it to kind of anything I'm trying to learn, where I give myself little micro wins. So it's like,
that's good.
Yeah. Like if there's a little, I figured out how to do some kind of production skill that I didn't know before. Yeah. But hopefully I remember it, but it worked on the song. And, so it's like, it helps. I think that I'm such a big advocate for training in particular, because of that, adult learning skill. It's a very interesting way to approach things. And even if people don't train or whatever, if you break stuff down like that, whether you're trying to break a habit or you're trying to learn something new, it's incredibly powerful. It feels slow, but it's actually I guess faster. But it might take the same amount of time. It's going to stick a lot better,
Absolutely. Yeah. Nah, that's awesome. I love that, man. And I love the term of micro wins, right? Because we feel good. It's a moment where we feel good and we want to keep feeling that, right? So, when we feel good and we set ourselves up to win instead of setting ourselves up for failure or discouragement, things kind of just work out a little bit better. You know what I'm saying?
They do. Yeah. Like you have to, and I'd be curious how you feel about, I always think about this, where I'm like, I have to be my own hype person. I have to believe in me and
do you feel
that way?
Absolutely. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'll look in the mirror and be like, yo, you got this. Yo, you got this. You're gonna do this, right? And I'm big on and sometimes it gets misconstrued as like cockiness and egotistic, but I'm big on self-confidence. I'm big on, cheering yourself on. You know what I mean? I'm very big on that. And like when I go, like for instance, if I do like when I used to do showcases, right? And it, like, you know, performances, I observe the performers, right? And it's like, all right, cool. How can I stand out different than everybody else, right? I'm big on greatness, right? I love Will Smith's the way he said it. It was like like a grade system, right? A C to a C to a B is not the same distance as a B to an A, right? In the grade system, right? You can get a B, but then you're gonna have to work a little bit harder to get an A, right? And he used like you might have to sleep different, you might have to eat different, you might have to move different in order to be, to get an A or great, right? And and I absolutely love that. Sometimes we have to do things that most people aren't willing to do, you know what I mean, in order to be great. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very big on that. And it's hard. That's why being great is not for everybody, right? And not everybody's great, but I do believe everybody has greatness inside them. You know what I mean? You just have to find, what that passion is and then follow through. You know what I'm saying? You just got to follow through. So I know that was long-winded, but yes, I do believe in cheering myself on. I do believe in talking myself into like, yo, you got this, you can do this. You know what I mean? So I'm big on it. I'm very, very big on that.
I love it. And long-winded is beautiful. That was beautiful. I've not heard him say that before. I love Will Smith. I would like to hear that.
Yeah. No, if I find a video, I'll show you because it really changed my perspective on how, my work ethic is. It really changed a lot for me. So yeah, I'll send it to you for sure.
Yeah, I would love to see that. Yeah. Because I think that when people are like, another reason for me kind of like doing these interviews and getting people's stories is because I at least, I don't know, I just so much on like online, it's like, do this thing, find your passion, 6 months later, you make $1 million or whatever, and you're just like, I'm like, I know that some people are all listening to interviews and they're like, I did this thing and then it just all came together. And you're like, okay. I'm like, I always think of the quote, it's like, overnight success happens in 10 years, right?
10 years.
It's like,
Yep.
And I think my loving advice or input to anybody who's starting on a journey, and I'm curious how you frame this, is that you can either, follow the calling. That calling might shift and change as you go. That's cool. Let it evolve. It will be challenging. It will grow you. It will challenge you. Or you could do kind of the thing that you're supposed to do, and that will also be challenging. It will also grow you. It's just kind of like, so even though we make these decisions in the pursuit of our heart and our calling and our dreams, they just because it is bringing you to your knees sometimes doesn't mean you're doing it wrong.
Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. What they say, pressure makes diamonds, right? So, sometimes we're going to come up to, hard moments and, even with growth, right? There's growing pains, you know what I'm saying? So, it's not all of it's easy. And sometimes it does come easy, right? That sometimes that happens. The other thing too is, I see a lot of videos on this too. And I try to remind people all the time is, you don't have to compare yourself to other people. Right. Just because you see somebody else doing good and you see them, reaching levels that you want to be, don't, you can use it as encouragement, but don't compare yourself. You know what I mean? Because they say comparison is the thief of joy. You know what I'm saying? So, if you're constantly comparing yourself to somebody and you find yourself being discouraged, then it's like it's time to kind of switch it up. You know what I'm saying? But learning from other people is cool, but everybody's their own thing. Everybody has their own limits, right? Everybody has their own path. So it's like, definitely, man, I went on a rant and I forgot what my point was, but ultimately, we have to encourage ourselves and we have to keep moving. Oh, that's what you're saying. Calling. Ultimately, it's going to be tough. It's going to be rough, but we got to keep going and we got to find ways to learn from it and get better. It's kind of like, again, we're going to go back to video games where you might be level 1, but then level 2 is harder than level 1. But then you beat level 2, and then level 3 is harder than level 2 until you get to the end and you beat that final boss and you're like, yo, I did it. But you had to learn from each level on how to get to that moment. You know what I mean? So it's super important to embrace those hard moments, because a lot of times people try to cut corners and then they miss out on a lesson that they needed for step 5 or that they needed for level 6 or level 7. You know what I mean? We got to go through the journey.
I love that so much. I actually have an episode of this called "Life is a Video Game." Legit,
Yeah,
like
that's so cool. That's awesome.
I didn't even really I was the little sister, so I would usually watch the people playing a video game, but I have a love for them as well. And I always would think about in life, I was like, oh, I don't know, you have to collect the sword at this level. You got to get this thing. You need things as you go. And if you think about it like that, it's like, it makes more sense in our lives. And I think when I, after I got to a certain point in life, I was like, I could look back and be like, all of the things that I thought were wasting my time were actually really important to the whole part of the whole part of me, of what I'm bringing to the table, And again, in our world, things are quite, you're seeing 18-year-olds like, I'm a billionaire on YouTube. You're like, okay. Good job. And
who are you related to?
What's your marketing budget look like? No, and I think it's wonderful. I think that there's so much, there's so many paths for growth and sustainability now in the world. Definitely takes a lot of self-starter kind of, if you want to do those things. But no, it's cool. It's cool. I'm not trying to rag on them too much, but so just to kind of wrap up, what's your, I was gonna say, I don't know if you want to share, but what's your kind of grand vision for this level in your video game, I guess, of your life?
Nah, for sure. So my thing is I want to do new things, right? I want to experiment. I want to try new things, and then I want to push forward. I want to go all in. This version of this chapter in my life is going all in. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm big on about right now. I'm gonna go all in. I'm gonna see it through. A lot of times in my past, I had an idea and I never followed through, or I started an idea and it was like, nothing's coming from it right away. I'm done. You know what I mean? This time, this chapter is all about going all in. You know what I mean? And, just focusing on the positive. The people that are close to me, one, they say I'm a money magnet. That's one, right?
Great.
2, I know. 2 is, I win a lot, right? I win a lot, right? So, and it's not, and then please, it's not to brag or nothing like that.
No, but what it speaks to how you see the world. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, you know what? If a lot of people see this, instead of me being down about losing something, right, or not achieving something, maybe I need to embrace it, like I talked about it. Not come up from a place of fear. Right. A lot of times it's like, I don't want to do that because what if this happens, right? But it's like, you know what? Let me do that. And what if it happens? I can learn from it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's about embracing it. So for me, it's all about going all in this chapter of my life. I
love that. Don't hold back. Yeah.
Don't hold back. You know what I'm saying? Don't hold back. You never know what you might see and what you might gain. You know what I mean? So, I'm going all in.
I love that so much. I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for doing this. This is why I'm doing this, because this is such you're giving so much beautiful insight and inspiration. And I really, likewise, with your Patreon, I don't know, that's, if I can do anything, that's what I want to do, is help people feel at home with themselves and be able to feel that they can actually contribute something in the world that is meaningful to them and actually lifts everyone around them. So
that's dope. Thank you for having me on. You know what I mean? Us creatives don't, there's a million podcasts now, but a lot of times us creators don't get to express ourselves and show, a different side. Right. Besides the creating and all that. So it's good to have conversations that can relate to the creativity, but also it's just life. right? And yeah, it's just life, man. And people get to express that. So, I appreciate it. I really appreciate you having me on, for sure.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah.